2 years ago. We see a soldier firing his gun until a person attacks him before he is bitten in the throat. The hostile person is shot in the head by a female soldier. The female soldier is shaking, holding her gun in horror. A soldier takes his wounded comrade as they run. "Ramirez!" a soldier shouts. She snaps out of it as another infected is coming towards her. She quickly whacks in the face, knocking her to the side as she tries to run. Carla tries to run with her comrades as quickly getting inside. Inside, Carla and the others block the door as a dozen zombies begin banging against the glass doors. "Those doors aren't going to hold too long," a soldier stated, scared. "How do you know?" Carla asked. "They don't get tired," a soldier stated. "They're demons," the soldier said, scared. "Shut up! There's no such thing," the officer said. "Open your eyes, Lieutenant! Explain what in the holy hell those things are out there! They can't die! They don't act human!" the soldier screamed. "I am ordering you, soldier, to calm the hell down right now!" he screamed. "Or what? You can't—" Bang! A loud gunshot rang as the soldier hit onto his throat as everyone looked on in horror. The soldier dropped down as red blood came oozing down his neck as he fell flat. What did you do, Lieutenant?" the soldier asked. Private Peterson was a threat to this unit. He was attracting unnecessary attention from the hostile and infected. He was putting the squad in danger. As squad leader, it's my duty to put the safety of the squad a priority. Now, will someone help me with his body? At nighttime, we see the soldiers waiting, all sitting quietly with a blanket covering the body of the recently murdered soldier. "Where's Sergeant Mars?" the soldier asked. "He went with Tracy to get a family on the last helicopter out of here," he stated back. "We should have went with them. We're sitting ducks here," the soldier says back. "How? They only had room for a few more civilians," he asked, confused. "That's what I'm saying. We should have taken over," as Carla listens to the conversation. "We were ordered to get those people out of here," Hank tells him. "Why? What's the point? There's no more law and order. No more courts. Hell, I might never see my sisters and mother ever again." "You might never see your son ever again," Janice tells him. "Please don't say that," Hank tells him. "Why?" he asks. "Because if that ever happens, then I'll have no reason to live," he says, surprising Carla. "That's the thing. None of us do. There's nothing left that we have. No family, no laws, nothing," he says, and Carla stands up to him. "That's the dumbest thing I ever heard, Private Janice." Well, if it isn't Private Ramirez, you have another god-awful joke for us?" You've been unusually quiet for so long. We thought you'd gone mute," he said, mocking her. "Hey, what in the hell's wrong with you?" Hank defends. "No, it's fine, Hank. I don't need you to defend me from this sad, pathetic excuse for a soldier," she said. "Excuse me?" He got angry. "Let's see. You're 5'8", also have the shortest temper in the squad, most write-ups out of anyone in the entire squad, but that's not even the worst of it. You think saving people over ourselves is stupid? You be a coward. Why the hell did you become a soldier anyways, Janice?" "Because it sure wasn't for your bravery. It wasn't for having a noble heart," she asked. "You better stop right there if you know what's good for you," he warns. "I'm not finished. Yeah, I crack jokes. Yeah, I get scared and freeze. But I never say something I'll regret. And I never take the easy way out of situations. I never give in to feelings of hopelessness because I am a soldier. I don't get to give up until I'm dead, as long as there's people out there to help who still aren't affected. But whatever this is, we do our jobs until we die, because that's why we fight. Not for ourselves, but for them. Anyone we save, so that others have a fighting chance. You want to give up, look for a helicopter and fly out of here? Go ahead, there's the door. No one here is stopping you. But if you walk out this room without us, you'll regret it, because you will realize that you're too small and weak to take on anything out there on your own. I might never see my father again. The only family I ever had in my entire life. Stop poisoning Hank's mind with acts of cowardice and grow a pair," she says, walking off, leaving the two men shocked. In the present, We see an exhausted Doug trying to run away from walkers in the neighborhood. He fires his gun as the walkers continue to move closer to him, so he keeps running, distancing himself from them. As he runs, he hears some gunshots and runs even faster, heading into the direction of the loud gunfire. Doug looks and sees in the distance Rachel helping carry Benjamin into a car. He sees her put him inside the car as she begins to run to the driver's side. He quickly aims his gun when suddenly a walker grabs his arm and sinks his teeth into his flesh. Doug screams as he removes a chunk of his flesh from his body. He pries it off, screaming, and fires his gun into its head, killing it. As it drops dead, Doug looks at his arm, shocked and horrified at his lethal injury. He quickly notices all the walkers around him and takes off running again, heading away from them, down the road as they all chase after him. His blood drips on the road. Elsewhere in the car, Rachel is sitting in the car as the walkers continue to bang against the windshield. They darken the inside of the car. Rachel looked terrified and panicked. She had a knife in her hand. "Oh God, what do I do? I don't know what to do. What should I do?" she asked, scared, looking at Benjamin. Benjamin continued to lie in the passenger seat, bleeding. He was unresponsive. She was having a panic attack. The walkers continued to bang against the glass and started cracking it. At best, she only had mere minutes before they got inside. She raised her knife and contemplated on what to do with it, and slowly moved it closer to Benjamin. "I'm sorry," she cries. She puts the knife to his neck. "I love you," she cries as Rachel holds a knife to his head. Suddenly, she then stops herself and lowers it, unable to go through with it. "Think, Rachel!" She looks up, seeing that there's a roof hatch on the car. Rachel then gets an idea. She takes Benjamin's belt off and ties it around his waist. She then grabs some gauze from her medical bag and applies some around to Benjamin's bleeding side. "Hopefully this will help. I'll be right back. Please don't die," she says as she begins to crawl up to the hatch. As she gets up and sticks her head out of the car, she climbs up onto the car. The walkers try grabbing and reaching for her on the roof of the car, but she pushes them away from her. On the roof of the car, she looks and sees even more walkers coming. There were about maybe 30 of them. Rachel shook in fear before taking a few deep breaths, and then jumps down from the roof of the car onto the street. She landed on the ground, dodging the dead, but twists her ankle and slams onto the hard street. She drops her knife. As it slides away from her, Rachel looks on in horror as her knife was many feet away from her. She was hurting and saw the walkers coming towards her, and she quickly tries to climb back up. She slowly got up and crawls to the knife, picking it up. As the first walker comes at her, she quickly stands up, stabbing it in the head. She then continues to kill 4 more of the dead when she sees some behind her and ducks as they try to come for her. She stabs 5 more of them in their heads, killing them, but she drops to the ground exhausted. She coughs, trying to recatch her breath, and looks to see several walkers still by the car, trying to get into the passenger side. "No, get away!" she shouted loudly, getting their attention again as she ran around them. "Hey, over here!" someone shouted as Rachel looked to see Benjamin. He opened his door and slammed the walker's head against the side of the car, killing it. He then pulled out a jack from the car and bashed another walker's head with it. Rachel looked and took the opportunity as she kicked one walker down before stabbing it in the head. She then raced as fast as she could, stabbing 4 more in the head as Benjamin whacked another walker with the jack, killing it, before tackling another one, slammed the jack onto its head repeatedly as its brains flew all over the ground. He collapsed, holding his side as more were coming at him, but he held it out, holding them. They bashed him against the car as he struggled. He was too weak as the walkers were right on top of him. Rachel continued to stab multiple walkers in the head, and she grabbed one of them, getting it off of Benjamin. Benjamin then dug his thumbs into the walker's head and pulled as much as he could. The walker's head rips in half, spraying blood all over him. The corpse dropped down onto the ground backwards. Benjamin was covered in blood. Rachel didn't look much better. He looked at Rachel, who was exhaustingly panting. Over 30 walkers were dead, lying all around the car. Benjamin wipes the blood off of his face. She gets inside the car and checks on Benjamin. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Yeah, I'll be fine. What about you?" he asked. "I'll feel better when we're somewhere safe," she tells him. She looks up and sees dark clouds in the distance. "It's like a storm is coming," she says as she turns on the car and drives them off. Sometime later, Rachel stops the car by an abandoned house. She looks outside, seeing the dark clouds in the far distance. "Why are we stopping?" Benjamin asked her. "We're never going to make it to the university, especially in your condition. We need to stop here for the night, and you need to rest up," she stated. "Rachel, it's not safe," he tells her. "I know. If something happens, we'll deal with it. But right now, we need to focus on making sure you don't bleed to death," she says with authority. Benjamin was surprised by her persistence and strength, as he also didn't have any left in him to argue with her. Everything in his body hurt like hell. "We'll find the others tomorrow, okay? Right now, you're my priority," she finishes. "Look, it's almost sundown," she stated. As Rachel gets out of the car, she takes a few bags on her and goes to Benjamin's side. She helps him up out of the car as she shoulders him again. They got out of the car, and she helped carry him inside the house. "Thank you," he said, as he used his other arm to climb inside the house, using the porch. She opened the door. "Hello?" she asked. They then heard and saw a walker growling as it left the living room, coming to them. Rachel leaned Benjamin at the door, and she went to go take care of it. "I got it," she said as she left. There was another that was coming behind Benjamin, and he cursed. Benjamin held it with one hand as Rachel killed the living room walker. She turned around seeing it and ran as fast as she could. Before Benjamin knew it, Rachel stabbed it with her knife very swiftly. She then saw 10 walkers in the street, noticing them. "Oh God, come on!" she says, helping and hurrying him inside. She closes the door and puts a chair to the handle, barricading it, as Benjamin dropped to the side, barely being able to stand. As they were finally in the house, Rachel laid him on the couch as he started bleeding through his belt and gauze. Benjamin grunted in pain, holding his side. "Oh no, I left the medical bag. Hold on, I'll be right back," she says, leaving. "Rachel," he tried, stopping her. "You stay here," she ordered. She then heard the walkers banging against the door and went through one of the house's windows instead. As she went outside, she saw another walker and killed it. She then sneaked to the car quietly, taking out the bag before hurrying back inside. She tossed the bag inside and crawled back into the window as a walker barely missed her leg. Rachel comes back into the living room as Benjamin continues to hold his side. Rachel saw that he was bleeding over the couch. She takes several items from her bag. "I need to clean it." Benjamin slowly removed his damaged body armor vest as she quickly helped him up. He was bleeding even more. "I need you to take off your shirt," she stated, as Benjamin was frozen, either by her comment or from bloodlust, probably both. He looked faint. Rachel had to think fast. "Ben, please, shirt off!" Benjamin complies and presses his back against the couch, covering it. He uses his one hand to try and remove his shirt, but he struggles with his injured side. She pulls out some cleaning alcohol. "I need to disinfect your wound. This is really gonna hurt," she warns him. "What else is new?" he asks, not really caring. Benjamin then takes the knife and cuts the stuck parts of his shirt as Rachel pulls it off. She applies the disinfectant on him, making him awaken in pain. I'm sorry," she says. "It's alright, I'm used to it," he tells her, with the gauze on his wound. "That's not a good thing," she tells him back. She then takes a suture and needle and looks at his wound. "Just do what you have to," he tells her. She works fast, suturing the hole in his side, as Benjamin begins to doze off. She bites off the remaining thread and then looks at Benjamin. Ben? Ben!" she asks, concerned. She takes a field blood transfusion kit from her bag. She unfolds it and connects it to her and begins to drain some of her own blood. After a while, she takes it off and then puts the receiving end to Benjamin. "Please live," she says, exhausted, as she falls down at the couch, passing out on top of him. Meanwhile, an hour earlier, we see Carla holding onto the back of a truck as it drives off from dozens of walkers. She looks exhausted, lying down in the back of the truck with Jeff next to her. "Is she okay?" Obadiah asks. "I don't know," Jeff says, and Carla regains her composure. What just happened?" she asked as they were driving off. "Hallelujah, thank the Lord, she's awake. We were getting worried," Obadiah said as he started slowing the car down. "You're not injured, are you?" Manny asked from the driver's side. Carla backed up and was beyond freaked out. "Who are you?" she asked, concerned. She looked around. "Where's my gun?" she said, startled. "Well, that's one way to be grateful for us for saving you and your friend's life back there. Not the way I would do it personally, but," Manny said before being interrupted. "Give her a break, Manny. From the looks of it, they were just attacked by somebody and lost their home," Obadiah told him. Carla looked to Jeff. "You lost it back when they picked us up," he told her. "And who are they?" she asked. Carla looked at the two strangers in the car. A large middle-aged man, dressed like a biker, and a Hispanic man who was much younger. "Glad to meet you," Bud says. "Greetings, my lady. I'm Manny, and this is Obadiah. But just call him Bud," he tells her, because no one cares to remember his actual name, he says. The older man gets offended. "You're lucky I'm a Christian, or so help me I," he says until he's interrupted. "Who are you guys?" she asks, getting out of the truck. "Whoa, easy there. We just told you," Manny tells her. "Are you with Xavier?" she demanded. "Xavier?" Obadiah asked. "Xavier was the bastard that attacked our group. He killed my son. We don't know if he's dead. We got separated from some of our friends," Jeff informs them. "I'm sorry to hear that." "Who did you get separated from?" Manny asks. Carla then speaks up. "From my friends, John and Benjamin. They're still alive. They're probably back at our home and need our help," she says. "I'm sorry," Obadiah apologized for his loss. His son and a few others of her friends are hiding out. "I don't suppose you fellas are kind enough to lend us your car?" Carla asks. "It's actually a truck," Manny corrects her. Carla signs. "Truck," Bud speaks up. "I'm sorry, but we can't do that. It's the only truck we have. And it's not even our call. It's Patrick's," he says. "Patrick?" Jeff asks, perplexed. "He's our leader," Bud tells him. "Well, where is Patrick?" she asks. "At our camp. It's not close, but we can get there by tomorrow if we're lucky," he tells them. "Patrick is somewhere in that direction," Manny says, pointing far towards the sky in a random direction. "Which is why I'm not the one driving. I also had a few tickets before the fall," Manny reveals. "Then we'll find our people without you both. Come on, Carla," he dismisses. "I wouldn't advise that, friend," Bud warns him. "Why, are you going to kill me if I try to leave?" he asks. "No, because it's sundown. And you have no vehicle plus no weapons? You won't find your other son if you're dead," Obadiah warns him. "Well, technically he could still find his son. He just wouldn't be alive," Manny says, making everyone look at him for his dark joke. "I'm just saying." Manny backs off. Carla steps in. "Jeff, we're tired, defenseless, and have no vehicle to make it back home or to university," she stated. "Wait, a university?" Manny asked her. "It's a long story." "If we let you guys take us to Patrick, will you help us convince him to lend us a car to find our friends?" she asks. "We can try, miss," Bud tells her. "Thank you, Bud. And..." Carla asks, confused. "Oh, I'm Manny the Magnificent?" he says, shaking her hand. Bud rolls his eyes. "Right, and this is Jed the Just," she says, making Manny smile. "Oh no, not another one," Bud signs. "Alright, well I have a feeling we're gonna get along just great," he says, excited. "Alright, I'll set up camp for the night," Bud tells him, leaving. As he walks away, Manny gives a thumbs up to the duo as he goes to help his friend. "I don't trust him," Jeff tells Carla. "I definitely have my reservations, but right now they're our best hope to find John, Benjamin, and the others. I'm gonna try and help them. Could buy some more points for when we ask for a car," she says as she tries to leave. Jeff tries to stop her. "Wait, Carla, there's something," he says. What is it? She asks. It's John. Jeff continues as Carla looks nervous. What if he's not there anymore? He asks. Like, what if we can't find them? He asks, quickly changing the subject. We'll find them. Benjamin and him wouldn't go far without us, she says. Just have some faith, she says as she leaves to help the guys. Jeff watches her leave and looks on nervously holding his knife. The knife had blood on it, and then he hears heavy panting and breathing before dropping it to the ground. Later in the day at nighttime, Benjamin wakes up from the couch and saw Rachel on the walkie. Sean? Carla? Tyler? Is anyone out there? She asks. This is Rachel. Benjamin and I are staying at a house on the road for the night. Please pick up. Anyone? She asks. Rachel turned to see Benjamin getting up. How long was I out? He asked. About 4 hours, she replied. That long, huh? And you didn't reach anyone? He asked. Nope, nothing. How are you feeling? She asked. A lot better now, thanks to you, Benjamin said, covered in bandages. He then looks at the IV in his arm. You gave me blood? He asked, surprised. I had no other choice. You lost too much, she told him. Where did you get it? Benjamin asked. Rachel showed her arm, which had a sizable cut on it. From me, she stated. You gave me your blood? How did you know I was AB positive? He asked. I didn't. Rachel slowly helped him sit up and sat on the couch with him. I'm O negative, so I just gave you some of mine, no big deal, she said as Benjamin looked at her. Benjamin was surprised by Rachel's resourcefulness. Try not to move so much. I don't want you to tear those stitches. Benjamin looked and saw that his head was cleaned up too. She went to a bag of supplies, pulling out a Gatorade, and slowly opened a few cans of food. You should eat something. You still lost a lot of blood and need to build up your strength back up. We'll try to get to the university in the morning, she told him. Thank you, Rachel, he said, holding his head. It's nothing, she told him. No, it is something. You saved me twice now. Thank you. I wouldn't be alive right now if it wasn't for you, and that's the truth, he stated. Now that you're awake, I should really look at your back, see if, she said until Benjamin snapped. No! I mean, my back is fine. Please, you've done enough, he told her. Rachel looked scared, but decided to ignore the outburst. Rachel looked and saw that Benjamin was in pain sitting on the couch. I see you're in pain, she says warmly. I'm okay. I'll heal, he said. I'm not talking about physical pain, Benjamin, she said, gently taking his hand. Benjamin then looks at Rachel surprised. You were always there for me. Whenever I needed you, you put me and my family's needs before yours. You keep a strong front, but I can tell when you're hurting, she says, comforting him. I'm so sorry about Hannah and Brandon and John. I know he was like a father to you, she says as Benjamin tries to be strong. Benjamin, hey, look at me, she asks. He looks at her as tears begin to form in his eyes. It hurt Rachel to see him in so much pain. I tried so hard. I did everything I could. I still couldn't save them. It's just, cries as she hugged him. I miss him. John, Brandon, he cried loudly. I know, Rachel replied back. I know. Benjamin cries. Rachel, you, Sean, Carla are the closest thing I have to family left. I couldn't go on without you guys. If something ever happened to any of you, I would never forgive myself. I bring nothing but death, pain, and destruction to everyone I care about. I don't deserve any of you in my life. I'm worried if I stay with you or anyone else, you'll leave me too, he cries. As Rachel hugs him, she cries, just let it out. It's okay, you don't have to be strong right now, she says, comforting him as she looks on his back, seeing the scars. At the camp, Carla and the others sat down for the night, having made camp. As they sat down, they saw that a storm was brewing. Obadiah and Manny were handing out some food. Thank you, she stated. Why are you guys so nice to us? We haven't met people as friendly as you since, well, pretty much since the start, she says. So, in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. For this sums up the law and the prophets, Bud says. That's not the golden rule, she stated. Well, it's not. It's Luke 6:31 from the Bible, he stated. Oh, sorry, I haven't really read in a while, she says. Why is that? He asks. You're kidding, right? She asks. Nope, I'm not, my dear, he said. Surely you must have had some time in the last 2 years. Carla signs. Surely you must have had time at some point in the last 2 years. Carla signs. Manny nudges Carla. I know, he's not the easiest to put up with. But if he didn't save my life every day, I totally would have ditched him, he says. My father was religious. I guess I was too at a certain point, but when the end of the world happened, I guess I didn't really think about that kind of the unknown, she confesses. What about you, friend? Do you believe in God? Obadiah asked. Jeff looked annoyed. I lost my nephew, wife, and children. I have nothing to believe in anymore except finding my last son. God didn't save my family, and he won't do it now, he says. I'm sorry to hear about your tragic loss, friend. I never had a family. I left my parents at a young age, bounced from job to job. I spent decades wasting my life drinking and doing things I'm not proud of. But one day, I had this, he said, pulling out a metal case. What is it? Carla asked. It's a Bible I found on the road one day. I don't know why, but I decided to pick it up. I put it in my jacket pocket, and then 2 hours later, I get shot, he says. Carla and Jeff look surprised. And you survived? She asked. I did. The metal casing actually stopped the bullet from getting to my heart, he stated. And that is when I finally decided to live for something greater than myself, than just surviving through life and only looking out only for myself, he said. Bud's a combat vet, if you didn't know, Manny says. Really? She asks. Obadiah took off his dog tag. He's right, I did. Carl looks at it. Whoa, you were in the Cold War? 3 tours, actually, he stated. Wow, Carla says, surprised. That must have been quite something. I never met a veteran from, well, a war before I was born, she stated. You know what? I'm gonna take watch. You two should get some sleep. We have a big day tomorrow, he says, leaving. Is he okay? Carla asked Manny. Bud doesn't really like to think about his past, he told her. I'm sorry, she apologizes. Don't worry about it. Bud is a sensitive ox, but he'll come around, Manny tells her. Jeff goes to him. Hey, we need a ride to the university. My son is supposed to be there. We really need a ride, please, he begged. I know. I'm sorry, but we have to meet back up with our people. It's been days. Our people are really worried. We'll try to make it there and find your people. We promise, he tells him. You guys should get some sleep, he says. Good night. Yeah, good night, Carla says as Manny leaves. Jeff then goes closer to her. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? He asks. Thinking what? She asks. Knocking them out and taking their truck, he whispers. What? No, we can't do that, Jeff, she says as he tries to shush her. Why not? He asks. We can't trust them. They're freaking nut jobs, he says. Way too friendly. Can't you see this is a trap? He says. Maybe it is, Jeff, but if Obadiah and Manny are being honest and are willing to help us out, then we'd be making a big mistake if we did that. If we can make them allies, we can help everyone back at the university. More people to keep us safe. Look, Jeff, I know we're on edge, but after the day we had, we need help, she says. The last time we tried to let someone help us, my wife died, he said, angry. I know, she said to him. And if you want to go out there and find Victor, I won't stop you. But I'm begging you not to go, because I can't do this without you. I need you. And I want to help you find Victor. Just help me get you there. I just need some more time, she says. Fine. If you won't help me, I guess I don't have a choice, he says, annoyed, and goes to get some sleep. Carla looks on, seeing that Jeff left his knife behind. In a hallway, Benjamin was all alone and looked around. Hello? Is anyone here? Benjamin asked. He went into one of the classrooms. Mr. McIntyre's class? Benjamin says as he sat down. Suddenly, a piece of paper was flown on the table. Quite the story, bro, someone said. Benjamin turned quickly to see that it was Brandon. Before Brandon knew it, Benjamin hugged him. You're okay, Benjamin said as he continued to happily hug him. The last time I saw you, you were... Benjamin stopped himself as he looked at Brandon. Wait, this isn't real, Benjamin said, disappointed. You were always the smart one. Sorry, bro. It's not really me, he said. Benjamin's smile died. Then, I really did fail you, Benjamin stated. No, you didn't. Ben, just because you couldn't save me doesn't mean I was supposed to live. It doesn't mean you and everyone else can't live and be happy. Wasn't that my dying wish? Brandon asked. Please, Brandon, please don't go and leave me again. I just want a little more time with you, please, Benjamin begged. I love that, but life has a funny way of making you hate it, doesn't it? He asked. Brandon, Suddenly, Brandon interrupted him, hugging him. Benjamin was looking confused. I don't even know if it was Xavier or Kyle that killed you, Benjamin told him. I was a terrible friend to you. I sacrificed you to save Rachel and the others. I should have tried harder to save you. It's my fault I pulled you into it! Benjamin stated. Like how? What could you have done differently? Brandon asked. I don't know, Benjamin says. It's because there was no other way to save me, bro. You think it's your fault I died, but I was supposed to. You have regrets, but I don't regret dying to help save you and your friends, he told Benjamin. Look, Ben, do you remember what I told you? Just before I died, he asked. You asked me to live my life, to be happy. Even in your last moments, you used your last breaths giving me advice, Benjamin says. I did, and you're not following it. Please don't throw away the rest of your life from my death, he states. Benjamin cried even more. I just miss you so much, and I didn't realize it until I lost you. I'm so sorry. I don't know if I'm strong enough to keep going. My parents, John, and you, I feel like... You want to just die, he says. How do you know? Benjamin asks. Because I'm really you. This is in your head, he tells him. So how should I live the life you want for me, he asks. Rachel will be a good place to start, he tells him. I'm gonna miss you, bro. Take care. Goodbye, Benjamin. Good luck, he said as everything went black. In the morning, Benjamin woke up as it was raining. It was pouring outside, as a man was walking in the street shivering. Outside the house, we see Benjamin and Rachel pushing their car to the back of the house before covering it with a mat, camouflaging it. We really need to fix that tire before we go. I don't think a bunch of duct tape is going to cover it, he says. Yeah, I agree. Come on, let's get you inside and sit you down. I'll look in the garage and shed and see if there's a spare tire somewhere lying around, she offered. No, I'm good, really. I feel great. I'll check the shed for you, he offers. Well, I don't know, she says hesitant. Really, I'm good. You're gonna freeze if you stay out here any longer, he says convincingly. You sure? She asks one last time. Positive, he affirms to her. Okay. Well, just don't take too long, she tells him. I won't, he tells her. Rachel smiles and runs inside back in the house. Benjamin heads to the shed and looks around, seeing a bunch of tools. As he looks at all the many tools, he signs, cursing. No tires, he says, annoyed. Suddenly, Benjamin's vision began to get blurry, and he held onto his head, groaning. No, not now, stop! He screamed, having flashes, and his hands were shaking. He dropped down, passing out. Come on! Think, Benjamin, think! Benjamin pulled himself up and used all his strength to climb outside the shed. He was nauseous and looked sick, going through withdrawals. He climbed out of the shed, getting into the rain, and tries to wash his face as the flashes begin to fade away. He drops down onto the dirt, breathing heavily, coughing. Inside the house, Rachel opened the door, leaving the garage. Hey, Ben, I found one in the garage, she said, excited. She then hears no response. Benjamin? She asks. Are you back? She asked, confused. She looked to see water all over the table, some blood on it as well. She was startled at the sight. She knew someone was there. There was a figure behind her. She heard a footstep. and then quickly ducked as a gunshot was fired, hitting the wall. She tossed her bag at her attacker, distracting him, and hurried before sliding to the couch, dodging another gunshot from her attacker. In the kitchen was Doug, holding his smoking gun. He looked sick and determined. "Where is Benjamin?" he demanded. Outside in the rain, Benjamin hears the gunshots and wakes up. "Rachel!" he says, terrified. He gets up, taking his knife. He quickly gets up, ignoring the pain. He looks angry and determined. Benjamin rushes to the door and bursts through the door as Doug stands there in the kitchen with a bleeding arm and a gun in the other one. Doug quickly turns around and fires his gun, but Benjamin ducks under the counter as it breaks from the gunshot. "This is your fault! I'm gonna die! I'm gonna become one of those monsters because of you!" he said, delirious. Rachel peeps her head and grabs a knife from the living room nightstand and proceeds to launch it, throwing it across the house, nearly hitting Doug. He screams as he turns around, firing another shot at her. Benjamin uses this to his advantage by running forward, throwing his knife at Doug, hitting him in the back, causing him to fall to the ground and drop his gun. Benjamin gets closer and sees Doug trying to reach for his gun, but Benjamin acts quickly and grabs the nearest weapon in the kitchen, a meat hammer. Benjamin then launches forward and swings it down as Doug tries to be able to grab his gun. He was too late, however, as the meat hammer clashes in his arm as Benjamin delivers the brutal blow to his chest. Doug coughed, but Benjamin continued as he swung the hammer down one last time, cracking him in the head with it. Benjamin continued to bash him in the head until there was little to nothing left of his so-called face. Blood and brain matter oozed everywhere and stained the dirty white kitchen tiles. Benjamin had blood all over his face. He then looked up, seeing Rachel, before collapsing at the counter holding his side. Rachel snapped out of it and rushed to him. Half an hour later, it was no longer raining. As we see Benjamin and Rachel in the bedroom together, we see her wrapping his side with bandages again. "I'm wrapping them a little tighter this time, if that's okay," she tells him. "Thank you. I appreciate you patching me up again," he thanks her. "It's the least I can do. At least I'm getting better at it," she tells him. "You are," Benjamin told her. "I'm sorry you had to save me again," she stated. "Never apologize for that, Rachel. I would do that a million times. My life wouldn't be the same without you in it." "I know. Seems like you're always saving me," she says, sounding regretful. "Like that night in the woods? It's how you got these," she said, gently touching his back. Benjamin grabbed her hand. "I don't want you to see it," he tells her. "I know. I figured it from last night by the way you acted defensive when I asked to see. Is it because you gained them the night you saved me? I won't be scared of you just because of them. No scar will ever make me think any less of you," she confessed. "Not exactly," he tells her. "But I did gain them that night," he reveals. "I didn't want you to blame yourself for it," he confessed. "You wanted to protect me," she says. "Benjamin, no matter what happens, I will never think any less of you. I need to know because I want to," she told him. Benjamin exhaled, giving in. "Okay," he said as she got up and slowly looked on his back. She became shocked at what she saw and was about to look away, but stopped herself, seeing the giant X marking in his flesh, surrounded by many smaller and more minimal cuts all around his back. She gently places her hand on his back as he breathed nervously. "I'm so sorry. I should have told you," she stated, sitting back down as he turned. "Told me what?" Benjamin asked. "That I loved you too," she confessed. Benjamin was surprised as the two of them went closer to one another and then proceeded to kiss. The two young lovers finally forgot about the horrible world they were living in and for once lived for the moment.